Hey everyone, and welcome to episode number 45 of Boutique Talk. My name is Jake Boston, otherwise known as Steelbook Obsessed on all your major social media platforms. And if you want to listen to all things physical media related, then you've come to the right place. Every episode, I have on a new guest to talk about their physical media journey. And tonight, my guest is such a strong voice in the movie community. Whether you follow his social media posts or check out his plethora of interviews on his podcast and YouTube page, you will no doubt be entertained and informed all at once. He is also taking his talents and plastering them on multiple physical media releases that span from Scream Factory to Deaf Crocodile. It is my pleasure to introduce Ryan Varel from The Disconnected onto the podcast. How's it going, Ryan?
Doing well. Thanks, Jake. Feels like a long time coming. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I've been doing 45 of these. You've been on the list for the longest time, so I'm glad we were able to kind of squeak something out.
Yeah, gonna be a good time.
Well, perfect. We're talking special features today. It's very exciting on my end of things because I have my first piece coming out later this year. You're a grizzled vet already. You've been doing it for a couple of years, so I can't wait to talk the ins and outs of kind of how that stuff works. But yeah, how's your Tuesday going so far?
It's good. Was literally just approving a piece for an Imprint Films release not 20 minutes ago before we got live here. It's been quite busy. Worked a full day of a regular 9 to 5, and physical media announcements abound. So on that point, man, it's a busy time in the world.
Yeah, I don't know how you juggle a 9 to 5 and going through your Instagram today, 21 posts just today on physical media release announcements. That's wild.
Plus 2 kids, plus a wife that doesn't hate me somehow. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you take her out to the movies every weekend. Smart man.
Yeah, got to talk her into this life somehow.
Well, perfect. Before we go into the curation of special features type of things, I guess I want to talk to you about how you started getting into loving physical media in the first place.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, just like most of us that are in this space. When I was younger, I grew up with not necessarily a wall because VHSs were quite expensive, but at least a big cabinet full of some of the best movies of all time, and grew up loving that and appreciating that. My dad was a lover of vinyl and cassettes and CDs, and I started actually in the music industry. I helped book shows. I helped host some shows. I been a part of a couple different music video recordings, and all of those things just really continue to like instill the love of physical media as far as wanting to make sure that I was promoting the actual way that these people get paid to keep doing the things that I loved. And so the whole like Napster era didn't really grasp me that much because I didn't love that for various reasons, but on top of the legality of it, it was just a slap in the face to multiple like personal friends, to seeing many of their releases literally given away for free. So as soon as I was moving away from California, moving to the a little less sunny state of Missouri, I took my love of that and really started focusing more on films. I was less ingrained in the music whole scene out here, obviously, because I didn't grow up here, and so it was just my previous love of film was now the foremost love of my life, and so I started collecting many of these boutique releases, and it was kind of perfect timing. When we moved out here, it was right after like boutique Blu-rays started to actually hit going for sale anywhere, and it was actually when Blu-rays had those like terrible 3 or 4 years they launched with, and now things that were coming out were actually really great. And so it was a good time to get started with the brand new collection. And so I don't know, I moved with probably 150 releases, and now I'm in a room with stacks and walls and shelves and everything, and it's too many.
I'm to the point to where like I'm glad I'm in my forever home, because if I had to move like the 3,500, 4,000 physical medias that I have in my collection, I don't know what I would do. It would need a whole moving truck just for that.
Yeah, it's daunting for sure.
It's absolutely crazy. So the music thing, what kind of music are you into, Ryan?
It's a silly, like very stereotypical thing to say, but I'm kind of appreciative of everything. When I was younger, I was really big into the metalcore scene and the punk scene. A lot of my friends were deep into that scene, and so all of the bands that I was close with was that. But I'm also a marching band geek, and so I am real heavy into like ska punk. I love anything with the saxophone and a trumpet, anything with a beat, anything that's happy music. All of that just goes a long way for me. So a lot of that stuff I still listen to, like stuff like Paramore, stuff like Under Oath that I grew up blasting. Yeah, love it all.
I'm a big fan of the movie Basketball. So when Real Big Fish came to Des Moines, Iowa, I was there like 19 years old. It was the best. Yeah.
Part of their sellout music video was filmed like 8 minutes from where I grew up, actually.
Were you in any music videos that we might know?
Not that anyone would know. I grew up in the religious music scene, and so most of it was pretty underground. I was in there's a band called Demon Hunter that my face is quite visible in one of their music videos. A band I grew up really close with was a band called Project 86, and you can't even see me. It was like a really like moshing scene, and so I'm there, but you just have to trust me.
Sure.
And then there's another one I did like location scouting for, and helped with the technical side of things that we got it filmed. Yeah.
I'm a big music guy too, but the first CD I ever bought, because I grew up religious as well, was DC Talk. Like I rocked that like crazy.
It's a bad year to have a history with DC Talk. I'll say that.
Yes, it is. Let's kind of convert another way. Let's pull the e-brake really quick there. So talking a little bit about boutique labels, what's the first label that really caught your eye and made you want to collect heavily into that spectrum of physical media?
I mean, honestly, even going back to the DVD days, I had quite a few of the Anchor Bay releases that everybody saw in Best Buy and fell in love with. They were decent. And Anchor Bay was not always known for like having the highest quality necessarily, especially in their later days. But really, the ones that first started to take me as far as, man, you can really do something special with these is probably the really early days of Arrow. Even before some of their US releases, just reading about some of the ones online from the UK that you could get, I definitely imported a couple of those. And then when they came to the US, I was just amazed. And now, we've had them here for, I think 11 years, something like that. And it's just crazy to see that this company that was once like barely struggling to put out spaghetti westerns and these rando Italian cult films, they're now putting out The Mask on 4K and making the internet go crazy.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I think Arrow is like the best consistency in the past couple of years for a boutique label. I think they're top dog. I mean, there's a lot kind of scrapping for the top of the heat, but I absolutely love Arrow Video at the moment.
I mean, they're great. There's the hard part nowadays is there's, I don't know, like 80 different things that you could score a company in. And I feel like there's about 20 different companies that could be the top dog depending on how you're looking at it. I mean,
what genre you like too. Yeah,
exactly. Packaging wise, nobody's coming close to Vinegar Syndrome. Most people will agree with that. If you're talking about just how people are appreciating the films, it's hard to look past things like Radiance right now or Deaf Crocodile, which are putting out releases that most people have never even heard of, let alone seen.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely true. But before we go, have a couple of people in the crowd here. We've got Prince. They're talking a lot of like music. Deftones. He wants to know your thoughts on the Deftones new record.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's better than I expected. I got to be honest.
He also wants to know an actor's filmography that you couldn't get into.
Man, I will say one that I had people kind of like prodding me about over the last couple of years is Austin Butler, and then I realized I've not seen him in anything other than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood until this year when he's been in a couple of the big summer movies, and I feel like he was great in Caught Stealing. I'm eager to check out some of those. I still haven't seen Elvis. I really need to watch that one, but and it's not even that I couldn't get into it; just somehow overlooked it.
Yeah, he's the best part in Elvis by far. And then I thought he wasn't in a lot of Dune Part 2, but I thought he was pretty strong in that. Very menacing, not really like any of his other roles at all.
Yep.
Thoughts on Weapons? Randomly throwing that out.
It's top 5 of the year for me by far. And I've not seen everything that's come out this year, but I'm at, I think 85 or 86 2025 releases that I've seen. And it's easily top 5 for me. I think it's incredible.
I'm at about 65 over on my. Are you on Letterboxd, Ryan?
Yeah. Okay. As I wear a Letterboxd shirt.
Exactly. Yeah. Should have put 2 and 2 together there. But I try to rank every single. I'm a sucker for lists. I like kind of curating that. Like I'm doing the best physical media that's come out this year. I'm doing the best movies that I've seen this year that have come out this year. I want to say Weapons is like number 6 or 7 for me. There's a couple up there that I like. This might be a different answer, but are there any movies that have been like your favorite theatrical experience rather than like your favorite movie of the year?
I mean, honestly, Weapons is probably my favorite theatrical experience. Most emotional. I'll give a shout out to this last weekend. Having The Long Walk premiere the week that we've had multiple like pretty tragic things happen in
Yeah.
the U.S. was a really hard one. My wife, afterwards, she goes, "I think I saw you cry at least 3 times." I said, "Yeah, it was at least 3."
It's been rough. It's
Yep.
it's been rough for sure. I really, I mean, speaking of rough, the one that kind of left me shell shocked was seeing Warfare. Like seeing that in a
Yeah.
theater was insane. Felt
Great
like
sound
I
in
just
that one.
like came from war. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Uh,
was thoroughly impressed with the sound they pulled out for that movie.
sure. Well, let's see here. Boutique label stuff. How many? I guess how big is your collection that you have behind you? I'm assuming that's not everything. It's just kind of like a snippet of where you can record.
No, and even what you can see, like, I'll tilt this slightly, it goes even higher to the ceiling, and it
Hmm.
goes all the way across the wall.
Do you need a rolling ladder to get to all those, Ryan? Or
Thankfully, I'm 6'5", so
oh,
no.
perfect.
Yeah, it's very helpful. But I definitely have people that come in here and they're like, "Oh, I want to see that one." I'm like, "I'll get it for you. You can't reach it."
Right. Hmm.
I don't know the exact number. Last time I checked, which was a long time ago, and I've sold a little bit and gotten way too many since then, was around 9,000. I wouldn't be
Wow.
surprised if it was closer to like 11,000 now, maybe even a little more. It's kind of insane. It's this room is dangerous to walk through.
Just I have all of my Blu-rays and 4Ks cataloged on my phone, so I know I have 3,600 of those, and that's a lot. Like I'm running out
So
of room just for those. Like I have this, and then I have a whole room dedicated to my boutiques, and then
right.
after that, I don't want to take over any more of my house that's already kind of bombarded with stuff. Like
I
I've
have
got a
nothing in
DVD.
any other room, I promise.
I have a DVD dungeon that is just kind of like a mess, like a
Yeah.
terrible mess in like the storage area. But other than that, like I'm getting to the point to where like, okay, space is very limited and I need to make sure that the stuff that I have, I actually like
Yeah.
the kind of chopping down of the collection. That's a process I'm currently in.
I will say I have hundreds of things that are not in the database, so they're not in the list, and
Dang.
I certainly have some that I've sold that I've not deleted, but
Hmm.
according to my Blu-ray.com app, this says
Dang. Dang.
9,468 releases, 11,000 films.
Well, man, it even shows that you've watched the majority of those too.
Uh, no,
Or
I
is
don't
it the other way
think that was
around?
showing. I don't mark them as watched in the app, sadly.
Oh, I have to. Like that's one way. Like, hey, what do I want to watch? Let's watch a movie I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, just
I'm at like a
letterbox for
six.
me.
I'm at like a 60-40 split. I've seen 60, 40% are brand new. So yeah, the more I can watch, the better. I just watched Malcolm X for the first time about a week ago.
Nice. I'm discussing that on
Very
my show here soon, actually.
very solid movie. I have the imprint box and it's amazing. It's got
Yep.
like the documentary in there as well. You're gonna be on an imprint release here soon, right, Jade?
Yeah, Jade is the first of the Imprint Films releases that we've announced that we're a part on.
Awesome.
I've been talking to the owner of Imprint for, gosh, a little over a year now, just trying to find a way for the right titles for me to help them produce. Imprint had gone through some changes behind the scenes. A couple of people left, and we're looking to do some other stuff. They had some other people come in, and based on that, I was like, hey, if you need somebody on the ground that's got a pretty wide network that knows a lot of people, we would love to help you out. And we finally found a group of titles that I could give some insight on, and hired a bunch of people. They approved everything, and now we're knee deep into work on all three of them. And yeah, Jade is the first one announced, and you'll hear about the other two in the next 3-4 months probably.
Very excited. That's always the roughest part. Like I have one title announced that I've worked on, but there are 4 titles that I have personally worked on special feature wise that I can't talk about, which is
Yeah.
just like I want it to be announced so bad and I just can't. I gotta sit on stuff. It's rough. Yeah.
The timeline on some of these gets a little intimidating. I mean, there's so much that I'd like to say. Our first commentary that we did was in, I think it was July of 2023, and that still hasn't been announced. Nobody knows that the film is coming out. Nobody knows that we're on it. Nobody knows anything. It's a movie that we love, and one that people are going to laugh like crazy that I'm involved in, and I just can't wait to talk about it on my show.
I recorded a commentary as well with a very popular social media person about a movie that I love, and I am finally happy that it's getting a proper release on Blu-ray. I think
Nice.
Blu-ray, maybe 4K, I'm not sure, but I can't say anything about it. It's driving me bonkers, man. It's crazy.
Well, if you ever want to vent, you know that I can keep a secret. We can chat after.
Possibly, maybe, yeah. After the recording's done, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Imprint, like you were talking about, Vinegar Syndrome kind of having very quality box sets. Imprint, their consistency, I love the way their box sets kind of look and feel in the hand. It's like you're holding like a high quality product.
They're nice. I like them a lot for sure. The only thing I don't love is they take up way too much shelf space for me. If something is coming in as 3 discs, I definitely don't need the width of 3 full cases plus a box. That is a lot of space to give up sometimes for one film. Like Jade is going to be a thick box for what is not a ton.
I love how the documentary has its own like case and whatnot, especially with Jade. Like the kid stays in the picture. Such an amazing documentary.
Yeah, it's gonna be an incredible release. I'm still amazed that we were able to do as much as we could, and this is one of the hard ones that I've done because obviously many people have the Vinegar Syndrome release so far, and we wanted to do something special to make Jade feel worth it. And so, I mean, the people that I got hired for the commentaries, I really hope people appreciate, because it's very complimentary voices and not anything that you've heard on the Vinegar Syndrome release or ever on anything associated with Jade. So I'm trying to make it very special for everybody.
Well, it's kind of crazy the amount of like double, triple, quadruple dipping, like just within regions that select movies are getting. I have to think that either they don't realize that other people are working on this over like across the pond, or they're just trying to beat them to it to announce first.
Yeah, usually it's the beat them to it to announce first, or sadly, lately, especially in the last year and a half or so, it's wait until some company gets a restoration done, and then they can license that restoration. And so that company inevitably is going to announce before you, but it's a great title, and maybe it's never had a release in the UK, so you'd be dumb not to announce it, because you're probably going to be able to sell a couple thousand just to like the region B folks if you put it out. So you may as well still do it, but good luck getting a lot of people to import it.
Sure. I mean, kind of talking about Imprint, like their biggest pre-order that's come out in months is that Halloween pumpkin set thing. I have it coming. I can't wait, even though I already have the 4Ks from Scream Factory. The restorations are done by a different company this time around, right?
The restorations are identical. The authoring and encoding is done by Fidelity Emotion. These will absolutely look better. They also are much more comprehensive on the bonus features. This had things that Scream Factory had wanted and they couldn't get access to, and the rights in Australia are much more, we'll say willy-nilly is a good way to say it. Right. So they're able to get things that they couldn't get here in the US. And so the moment that I saw that they were going to be much more comprehensive, I got rid of those old Scream Factory 4Ks, and I'm going to have a better release for sure.
See, my thing is it's rough letting go of some of that stuff, just because I love the way that those Scream Factory sets look, even though there's literally no reason for me to keep those anymore. I kind of just want to have them, but space might kind of negate my feelings on that one soon. We'll see.
Yep. Well, at least this one you can store in a pumpkin.
That lights up. It flickers. It's in its own acrylic case. Yeah, I'm such a sucker. It's dumb, but even like the spines on it that make up Michael Myers, very old school. Reminds me of like the Freddy Krueger DVD box. Like cannot wait to get my hands on that. But I have my hands on a few of the physical media releases that you have worked on. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the processes of how you went through what you did from kind of start to finish. The first one, you do a lot of work with Deaf Crocodile. I have a partnership with them to where I kind of help promote their new releases. So I have a lot of them, but the one that is probably my favorite that I've watched from the company is Feel a Day. I adore this movie with a passion. So I guess what was the process of you kind of talking with Deaf Crocodile and working on so many releases of theirs?
Craig, who is one of the co-owners of Deaf Crocodile, had just been amazing for years. I brought them on for a very early interview right after they had become partners with OCN, and when they were with VS for I think just over 2 years or just under 2 years, something like that. We had talked quite frequently. They'd done an episode of my podcast. They'd done some other stuff with some friends. And then I think it was something silly. Like I was at my kid's football game, I think. And I noticed that I kept getting comments on YouTube because I still get pop-ups because I respond to pretty much everything. But I kept getting comments on YouTube from the company Deaf Crocodile. They were commenting on a bunch of my interviews, and I went and realized that one of them had just discovered, like, oh, we had been on his channel, but let's go watch more of his stuff. And
Yeah.
they were going through like all of my interviews. So we finished a game and I had like 4 new comments from Deaf Crocodile. And so I emailed him after. I was like, what's going on? I guess you're checking some stuff out. And he was like, yeah, I love your interviews. And yeah, we should talk more soon. And so I don't remember what it was, but I think I just kind of volunteered for something at the beginning. I was like, hey, I got a couple ideas if you want some feedback. And you know, we're working on some physical media releases. If you ever want somebody to try out for a visual essay, we'd love to. And the first release we did for them, I think, was Kinzadza, which is this weird, like, Russian sci-fi film that is very difficult to explain, but once you see it, you feel like a changed person. It's amazing. And we did that. They loved it, and suddenly I was doing pretty much everything that I could for them. I've done transcript work for them. I've helped with subtitle stuff. I edit some of their interviews. I have given ideas to their website. They currently have a membership program that you can sign up for on their website to get severely discounted store credit, essentially, to get you access to a bunch of other things and save you a ton of money.
Nice.
And that whole thing was my idea. Like, they were trying to find ways to entice people to buy from them, and I said, everybody just wants to save money. Why don't we try this? And they're like, that's amazing. And it's worked very well for them. So I've been happy to do that. I've helped with their social media stuff. I've even slept in Craig's house multiple titimes. I visited Los Angeles a couple times since we started working together. I've sat next to him while he was doing restoration work, and I was doing work on, I think it was my magazine and a couple other things. Just sat at the desk next to each other and kind of had like a joint workspace for like 6 hours.
I thought you were just going to say have a joint, period.
I've still never had one in my life, I promise. But literally just work together for like 6 hours, like every like 20 minutes. We'd hey, check this out. Do you want to take a look or something? But yeah, just hanging out and being productive and getting stuff done.
That's the best kind of work. Yeah, just when you can like bounce off somebody, especially when you're in the same room and you both care about what you're trying to get done. It's great. Well, very, very cool. What were your thoughts on Fila Day, and what exactly did you work on for that release?
Yeah, so I had seen a really edited, really terrible looking version of Fila Day online somewhere about 2 years before this was formally announced. And so when they let me know they were doing it, I went, hold on, hold on. I have to do something for this. And I knew that Will was going to love it. So I said, I see that you don't have a commentary for it yet. Would you let us do it? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And so we sat down, and Will Dotson is my like bridegroom in all of this. He is amazing. He is absolutely somebody that I rely on for almost everything. He's an incredible professor and has been for years. He's an author, a writer, and so he does the vast majority of our writing. I do some research with him. I bounce some things off of him, but the reality is he does a lot of that creative side of the work, and I do a lot of the producing and the editing and all the like administrative work behind the scenes. We just kind of complement each other pretty perfectly. But when Fila Day came, I mean, this is one of those movies that is incredibly fun to discuss, but also one of those that you really got to like balance appropriately, because there's obviously this interesting tone of we're talking about animation and all that, but you're literally talking about cats murdering each other and cat sex and all that. So the commentary for this was one that we definitely want to hit with nuance, and the political story behind this film is sensitive as well. So the way that we balanced all that throughout the commentary was important to us, and we just tried to approach it in a way that we could respect and one that we would want to hear. And ultimately, that's kind of what we do for every essay. Just what is interesting and what is the story for this film, or for somebody behind the film, that actually is a story worth telling. I mean, for many of these movies, it was just a job, and some of these people just did something quickly. But for lots of these movies, it's a political protest film, or it's a film that was made because there was like swindling happening behind the scenes, and you should know about that because that's freaking incredible to hear about. We just did a release for a company in Germany that is not a great movie, but the story behind how the movie was made is incredible. So the entire commentary is just, we think, a pretty compelling jaunt through the history of not only the filmmakers behind the film, but actually the stories that you don't just read about going to the library or searching Wikipedia. We try to do like real research deep dive on these.
Right. No, I absolutely love that. Like, I feel like if you're going to get hired for a job, you need to kind of put your time in, do your
Yeah.
work, try to bring some things to the table that not a lot of people really know or can easily access. So very good to hear that you guys are doing that on your end as well.
If somebody can Google it, it's probably not even worth talking about all that much. A lot of people aren't going to Google it, but if you can, like, what is the value add there?
Right. So you were briefly talking about like kind of having a team around you. I guess this is a good time to talk about your company, your production company, someone's favorite production. How did that kind of come into place, and how big is your team nowadays?
So back in 2023, Will and I had gotten hired for 3 commentaries that we were working on back to back, all in one weekend. And we did the 3 of these, and pretty much immediately we had said this was too much fun and too affirming, like internally for us, knowing that this was something that we loved and that we wanted to keep doing. And so we said, with my connections and the network that I built over the years, and with Will's connection through other scholars, I really want to do something that can help us be a part of these things, but more importantly, lift up literally a large group of people. And so we started Someone's Favorite Productions to get other people involved in this industry, because sadly, over the years, and this is not just meant as like since 2020 or anything, but literally for decades, this has been an industry that is difficult to break into for women and people of color and people from other marginalized groups, but also just if you're not friends with somebody, a lot of times it is nigh impossible to find the right way to get into these. And so we said, let's do this. And obviously, we're not going to be the right fit for many of these projects. We both know a ton of people. We know what they love. We know what they're good at. Let's just try to get these people jobs. And so since day one, we've gotten many people involved in the right commentaries, the right visual essays, the right written essays, the right editing jobs. And so the amount of people that we've had work with us on all these, I don't even know that number offhand. It's probably 30 plus. But as far as like the company itself, it's literally just Will and I, but then we kind of expand it into a co-op. I mean, one of the people that's very close to us is John Daly, who's an employee at TerraVision, but he edits with us, he writes with us, he does filming for us in person. We just got done and are actually about to do a whole bunch of commentaries in person with filmmakers for this huge project that we're working on. Last year, I think it was last year, we did this big documentary on Toby Hooper, and John was able to edit most of it. And so we just know the right person for the right job. And most of these people never would have that opportunity. And so just building that trust with the companies has allowed us to be able to say, no, listen, like, I know this is hard to believe, but there are other people out there that are great at this and that would serve your release way better than somebody that you just know.
Yeah. I love that. Number one, I love that you guys are kind of like bringing new people into the community to kind of shine a different spotlight on some subject matters that need that spotlight shined on them. I just, with my work with Umbrella that I've done, I've been able to kind of cast a little mini my umbrella with people that I kind of know in the physical media content creation space that I know would love to have that chance to actually be on a physical media release. So I got my dream, like that was one of my bucket list things to kind of check off. I got that done. I felt such a relief doing that. Just a great feeling. I wanted other people in the community to do that. So a couple people have done so. Cannot wait to announce that type of stuff. But I also want to kind of just keep the momentum going and growing, and we'll see what happens. But you are definitely a great blueprint to look at and just kind of see how this stuff is done. So I appreciate the insight on that.
Well, I appreciate it. It's not necessarily been easy, but the crazy thing, I mean, it's been, in fact, I think it was last week was 2 years to the day since we announced the company publicly. And since that day, we have never had to solicit work from anybody. And that entire time, we've had at least 3 projects pending. Many times it's more like 15. But yeah, we've never been wanting for work. That doesn't mean that we haven't. We've just never had to. There's been a couple things that we've heard. And so, yeah, I mean, to be able to be a part of these things is incredible. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. No more needs to be said. You did talk a little bit about TerraVision, though, and your connection with them. So
Yeah.
I would love for you to go a little bit more in depth with TerraVision, and more specifically the Rumpelstiltskin release. Because the movie is what it is, but I feel like
Yeah.
as much love and care that got put into Rumpelstiltskin kind of perfectly puts together what TerraVision's all about. They kind of just movies that had their time in the sun, even though that sun was very sun faded in a movie rental store somewhere. They're coming back, putting out great 4K releases of movies that
Yeah.
you might not think need to, but I mean, box sets like this too. You were talking about Vinegar Syndrome. I feel like TerraVision kind of took some lessons of what they learned from VS and
Yep.
put them in great displays. And I don't know. I really like what they're doing over there as a company.
Yeah. So, gosh, I'm going on, I think, almost 2 years now. TerraVision, Brad Henderson and I had been talking behind the scenes for a couple years before then. I'd had him on my show for an interview, and then we just became kind of fast friends, discussing lots of films behind the scenes. He pretty much could tell immediately that I was somebody that could be trusted. I don't share secrets with anybody. I don't reveal anything. I don't gossip, which is kind of hard to come by in this industry. Sadly,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that want to open their mouth when they
Oh,
shouldn't. And so he recognized that in me, and he saw that we had started doing things with some of these companies. And he texted me and was like, "Hey, do you got a minute to talk?" And so I gave him a call, and he asked if I wanted to come on and do some production work for him. And he explained what that meant. And since then, I've done many of their special features. I've hired people. I've edited things for them. I've done their booklet layouts for many of their releases. I've helped negotiate for some of the films and for some of the things that we've gotten as extras behind the scenes, just because I had made the contact or reached out to people on their behalf. I've made friends with some of the people that I've done for extras for them. A big one is I was able to do pretty much everything, and I happen to have it next to me. Nailgun Massacre, I did most of the extras on this.
I have that coming to me tomorrow from the movieroom.com, just because
Nice.
that's one movie that I've been wanting to check out for the longest time. And then I was hoping to get it for research for this. It just didn't come in time. But yeah, the movie looked wild.
It's incredible. It's not one to be taken super seriously, but the story of how little they paid to make it and the type of people they made it with is just incredible. But I did like all of the interviews for it. We did an audio commentary for it, and I mean, even he's like the top billed person, and I always want to go to the word star, but there's a guy that plays a doctor in this movie. He's not a star. He's hardly in this movie. He's in it for like 20 minutes. And when I finally was able to talk to him and record our interview, we became fast friends. And this guy is like 83, living in South Texas, and still every so often he gives me a call and we just hang out and chat
That's
on the phone
awesome.
for like 2 hours at a time. But yeah, stuff like that has been great. And then Rumpelstiltskin, we were looking for people to contribute to this release, and when I had seen the screener for what we were doing for it, I went, it had been a long time since I watched this, and this movie kind of speaks to me because I've got 2 young kids, and this is a not like super inappropriate film. I kind of want to talk about something that's about like gateway horror, like
Mhm.
not necessarily for kids, but not necessarily for teens when they can expect to see things like Halloween, but
Right.
more of like adolescent horror. And so this is so far at the moment the only release that I've written myself a visual written essay for. And so I basically just did a little guide to things that I think are fairly appropriate to show kids and things that I'm looking forward to showing my kids as they get just slightly older. And it was really fun to be a part of that process because I had not done it yet. And yeah, super proud of this one. The release itself is astounding. What's crazy is behind the scenes, we didn't really have to do a whole lot at TerraVision. They had a lot of this coming. The filmmaker put a lot of it together for us, and it was mostly just the restoration that took a lot of work on our behalf. And then we kind of surprised everybody, premiered it at Beyond Fest, and it was ready to go. It was up for pre-order, I think, that day or the day after, and people went crazy for it. That release is incredible. And then when you're selling a bib that says "fucketh me" and stuff like that, like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
They have some crazy packings for some of their collector's editions. It's wild. I've had Brad on the podcast here. He's great to talk with. I talked with Ryan when he was at a convention here in Des Moines. I talked with him for a few hours, and right when like they were going through the thick of like the move and like the damage that they were getting, like they were just going through the ringer, and I feel like he just needed to vent. So we just talked for a while.
Ryan needs to vent like 3 times a week. That guy puts up with so much shit. I don't understand how he does it.
No, a lot of stuff is on his shoulders. So absolutely. TerraVision has been great. I would love to work with them someday. I think that'd be phenomenal. Speaking of like the gateway horror stuff, you know how Umbrella is like the only people that I have actual experience with. So I'll throw a little nugget of something that I don't know is happening. Don't know if it is or not. But they asked me for like a list of titles that I would love to see get physical media releases and stuff. One of them, very obscure. They're doing the full moon fright boxes.
Yeah.
I thought it would be great to have a Moonbeam box set.
Yes,
with
please.
Like the Prehistorias and got remote, like all of that type of, because that's the stuff I grew up with. I remember going to my local mom and pop rental store, picking those out. They were a blast. So that would kind of be a dream release for me, because those movies really haven't, I mean, they've had some random Blu-ray releases, but nothing that's really like given them the stamp of approval that I would love to give them, you know?
Well, and they fall under Full Moon, and Full Moon doesn't treat their releases very well. Charles Band is kind of the person that wants to make money off of the initial release. Everybody's hyped for it, and then a couple years later improve it a little bit, and then 5 years later, like finally give you an okay release of it. And then even then it's screwed up because it's missing 7 seconds of footage or something. But I mean, I just showed my kids Remote. I'm not even kidding, about 2.5 months ago. And
Remote's awesome.
Both of my kids loved so much. I would love a box set of all the Moonbeam stuff.
Yep. Prehysteria 3 when they're at the mini golf course. Like I watched that movie so many times, man. I don't even like Jurassic Park that much. I'm more of a Prehysteria fan than I am Jurassic Park. It's kind of wild, but I love it. I love it so much. Speaking of love, we got KB Loves Movies in the chat.
What's up?
I've been able to meet up with KB in real life here in like the Des Moines metro area. Hopefully we can kind of hang out again, but yeah, hopefully you and I can meet in real life, Ryan. We don't live too far apart.
Yeah. I was just up in Des Moines last year.
Well, man, next time you're here, let me know, and we'll get lunch at the very least. Hopefully, see a movie or something.
Absolutely.
Sand Hamwich wants to do a fundraiser where you get stoned on stream.
Honestly, wouldn't be against it. My employer would be, but I wouldn't be.
Right. Still hoping for Summer Camp Nightmare to come out. I'm assuming on physical media.
It's a long list title, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to ask this about Fila Day. I'm trying to. I don't watch a lot of foreign films, I guess. That's not a thing that I kind of go to on a daily basis. But this year, I kind of I gave myself the challenge of watching 50 foreign films this year.
Nice.
I'm halfway through, even though it's September. I need to kind of catch up a little bit more. But are there any foreign films that kind of have a soft spot in your heart that you feel like every movie lover should really check out?
Oh man, I feel weird answering like this with the word soft spot, because a lot of my stuff is harsh. I mean, I'm a big fan of like cult films, and not even necessarily horror, but like crime thrillers and stuff. I mean, there's so many that I could go through right now. I mean, the prime example is a lot of people love Bong Joon-ho and yet have only ever seen Parasite, and that's how they love Bong Joon-ho. I mean, Parasite's not even, I don't even think that would be top 3 for me from his filmography. Like, go watch Host.
Just this year I watched The Host and Memories of Murder for the first time.
Memories of Murder is a masterpiece. Tomorrow night I'm recording another podcast episode on the film The Chaser that Umbrella released that I think is a masterpiece. South Korea has done some of the best transgressive, borderline horror, but mostly like thriller type films for years. They're absolutely at the top of the pack for that. They're incredible, but I really, if you're into foreign stuff and you just want to broaden your horizons, it's going to sound like a shill for the company, but I get it every single month from Deaf Crocodile, because most of the stuff they're putting out is foreign, and it's films that we've never heard of before. And that
Right.
sort of thing, it forces me, as I'm working on them behind the scenes, to watch this film that otherwise I never even would have given a second thought to watching. It's not something that necessarily appeals to me. And then you watch it and go, oh, this is freaking great. Like, this is obvious why they're releasing it.
And I'm a big fan of animation too, so kind of
Same.
combining the two is crazy. Like, you can, especially with that label, you can go anywhere from like German expressionism to like
Yep.
I Married a Strange Person, just all over the board, man. Yeah, no, as a label, they're putting out some very unique titles that mostly I've never heard of before, but I kind of know if it's under their label, you probably want to check it out because there's something special there.
Well, as people are watching this, kind of hard to have this week be happening and not necessarily promote this, but we've been working up to our October releases at Deaf Crocodile for the entire year. There are 2 box sets releasing this Friday that you can pre-order. They'll be shipping in October. One is a double feature of classic silent films that are incredible. The other is a trilogy of like very experimental type films that are mostly silent as well. And it's 5 films across 6 discs, and it's going to be just absolutely astonishing. I cannot wait for people to see these in the hand.
Very, very, very excited. Jim wants to know how you have time to actually watch discs. You're the busiest physical media advocate he knows.
As I work on them, Jim, you know that.
Well, speaking of being a physical media advocate, we haven't talked about a whole other side of what you do and covering stuff on social media. Like, your Instagram page is always flooded with content and posts and news whenever it happens. I post on there daily, so when I post, I try to do like one video, one photo. So I'm on there a couple times a day, and whenever I scroll up, you, more often than not, Disconnected is on there. So
sorry for being annoying.
Oh, no, it's great. No, you keep me up to date on physical media news. There's nothing bad about that at all. I guess, how long have you been doing the social media stuff, and why do you continue to do it and at such a rapid pace?
Yeah, so this really all started for me back in 2019-ish. I kind of similar to, I believe, how you started. I was just excited about some of the stuff that I had. Started like taking some pictures. I locked down the name on social media and was like, let's just run from here, see if people are into it. I wasn't ever looking to be any sort of influencer or do anything I'm doing nowadays. But I was like taking selfies and recommending movies, stuff like that, just looking for other people. I mean, as you know, we live in the middle of the country. There's not a lot of people like us around here. And so I started posting, and literally after like a month, both of my kids, we had finally gotten through a long waiting list and got them tested, and they both got diagnosed with autism. One of my kids with ADHD. And so I basically stopped immediately and said, well, all of our time is now going to be into therapies, and all of my extra money is going to be into that. So I paused pretty much everything. And we had in-house therapists. I was driving across the city multiple times a week to find the right doctors and all kinds of stuff. And then after we've done that for a good 9 or 10 months, March of 2020 happened, and I'm stuck at home with everybody else, and I can't go to all these doctor's appointments. We're not allowed to. All of the in-home therapy had to stop. There was no protocol for any of it. And so suddenly I had free time to pick it back up again. I was still working with my kids for the stuff that I could, but I realized they've gotten a lot of the help that they've needed over the last year. I can kind of go back to it. And around that time, the entire world at that point, it seemed like, was getting into physical media. They were realizing I'm stuck at home. I don't like streaming. I want to find some interesting stuff. And so some creators started getting a little more popular on YouTube and on Instagram. And I am probably quite autistic myself, not been diagnosed with that or anything, but I noticed that in pretty much all of these videos, there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of these people are just kind of guessing at what they're saying instead of knowing the truth.
Yeah.
And so I said, I've already got the social media side. Why don't I try to do something like this? So I started the YouTube channel, and my first foray into what I was doing was what I was calling guides. And so I was taking a full boutique label, getting all of their releases, showing all of the releases, explaining the best time to buy them, the type of movies they release, what the packaging is like, how they ship, when you can buy them for the least amount of money, like everything that I can think of. And eventually those started to catch on. People started sharing them, and it did pretty well at the time. And then I had some people begging for a live show, and they wanted to cover announcements. They literally wanted somebody that could be this meticulous about everything that was coming out. And I said, well, nobody is posting all of the announcements. So I guess I have to do that too. And so since that day, across like every social media, I'm sharing announcements basically 24/7. As soon as they get announced, I'm doing my best to get them covered. I post deals. I post when stuff is available for pre-order. I cover pretty much all English-friendly releases across the world. And now that's led to the live show, which every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, I am there to cover every single one. All of the details, all of the extras, where it's coming out, when it's coming out, what formats. And eventually, I got tired of doing it myself. And so I started bringing some guests on to do it. And I've had Mark from Orbit DVD. I've had Brad from TerraVision. I've had people from Labels. I've had other podcasters, YouTubers. Pretty much everybody that I could think of that I could get on the show has done it so far. And it's after the announcements, we go over some kind of film topic, because that's what's important. I don't want people to think that I'm just here to hype up releases. Please spend your money. This is all about a love for film at the end of the day. And so I want to give about half of my show to that love and passion, and discussing in depth why I love these movies. And that, if we're going to talk about announcements, we may as well talk about the films that are coming in these announcements after. So I get my guests to pick a topic that they don't normally get to cover through their avenues, and we do something special to us. And yeah, we have a full night, and I'm usually live for somewhere between 2.5 to, I've gone over 6 hours a couple times.
They go crazy. There are some marathon sessions over there. I don't really tune in live that often. Thursdays are a little bit busy on my end of things, but I always love listening to it, because you're able to make physical media news both informative and entertaining, which is a very hard juggling act to do. So bravo to you, number one. Number two, I'm a little hurt that I haven't been invited to be a guest on this. So maybe one of these days we can kind of change that. But yeah, just talking physical media, there's not a lot of people that I know in my normal life that do that. You kind of have to go online to kind of be with a like-minded community, just with a lot of different topics these days. But physical media especially, it's just something that I want to love and be a part of for the longest time. I think I, like you, like when I started my Instagram, I was just taking, like, it was more like a catalog thing. Like, here's movie number 1 in my collection. And I started going over that. COVID happened. That seems to be a good linchpin for a lot of people, and like how they pivoted into doing something a little bit more seriously. So yeah, I see a lot of like similarities between you and I specifically. I don't know. I would love to be on your show and just kind of chit chat on new releases, because I get a lot of stuff personally in the mail to show off when they're already there. I try to be as unbiased as possible. I show this off just to inform people, hey, this is out. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not telling you to buy it. Just if you're interested, here it is. Here's what it looks like.
Yeah, I that's a big part for me too. I'm not really like most of these releases. A lot of people think I get a ton of stuff for free. I get pretty much nothing for free unless I've worked on it. I don't get promo things from Alliance like a lot of people. I don't get promo from Arrow. I don't get promo from many of these companies. So if you're seeing me hold up a release, I will tell you if it was sent to me, and if I've worked on it, yeah, you're supposed to get a copy of that. But other than that, I'm buying everything. It's something that I want to support. It's something I want to be a part of. But the big thing for me too that I didn't mention really is this is all about community. I mean, we talk about talking to other people, but I really hope people, if they either stop in on the channel or on any of the social media, you recognize, like, I'm all about interaction. I respond to almost every single comment I get everywhere, which is crazy when you think about the fact that I'm posting these on 4 different social media channels. And then I'm hosting these live shows. I'm doing interviews. I respond to DMs. I know I probably like 100+ people so personally that when I see a release get announced, I DM somebody, be like, hey, I know that you're going to love this. And I have these friends that I made over the years that I've literally never met most of them in person, though I've met, gosh, probably 30 of them now at this point. But I just know, hey, you're going to love this movie and I need you to know about it. So we're going to talk about it. And I'm talking to people 24/7. When I wake up in the morning, I inevitably got, 5 to 8 DMs overnight. Somebody just wanting to talk randomly about movies, because this is such an insular hobby. I mean, for most of us, you're sitting at home in a dark room watching a movie, and you don't want to just like run to Twitter to tweet about it. You don't want to run to Facebook and ask what your grandma wanted to say about it. You're looking for other people in real life. but there's not really many people in most of these communities that you just have friends doing this in person. And
Right.
so that's really what I want my Thursday nights to be, is somebody can feel like this is a weekly, not even like a show, but like a gathering of true friends that are here to support this idea of we all love this. And I'm announcing things that sometimes I don't give a crap about them, but somebody in the chat does, and somebody's going to tell us something about it. I'm immensely proud of the people that have come on my chat, because I hear things. There are people that have worked on many of these movies quite often, and they'll say, "Yeah, I worked on this one. I was an extra or something like that." It's like, what the hell are you doing on my show? I'm a nobody. But yeah, they're just hanging out with us, and we all get to discuss and talk about the first time they saw that with their dad or something. And everything is just meaningful, and everybody has a story to validate.
You never know who's watching when you put
No.
up any type of content. You would be shocked at even not knowing who's watching, but people who actually reach out, who are
Yep.
people of the know, that are like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Thanks for covering this, that, or whatever." And
Yeah,
it's always mind blowing whenever somebody kind of pops out of the woodwork to kind of reach out to you.
it's true.
It's wild.
I
It's also
that happened to me the first time that I talked to Sean Baker, which is like this big name
Mm,
drop nowadays. But we've been friends for a few years at this point, and I reached out to him because I just happened to notice that he was posting some of my stuff to his stories when I announced titles. I was
mhm,
like, "Hey, this is probably a little unorthodox, but would you ever want to come on the show?" And he's like, "Oh, absolutely, I love your show. Let's do it." I went, "Wait, you've seen the show?"
mhm.
He's like, "Oh yeah." And so we start recording eventually when we get this done. And the first thing he said was, "I go to you for all my news, and I just appreciate it." And I was like, "Okay, this is stupid. We don't even need to record. This is fake. No, you can't be serious."
Mhm. No, it's wild. Sean Baker's a hell of a card to reach out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing, especially now after the whole Honora blow up and
Yeah.
whatnot. But he's been making great movies for a while. That new Second Sight Florida project. Cannot wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. And he told me that was coming a little while before he leaked it publicly. But I mean, now he's been a part of my award show that I do every year now. He's done a handful of things behind the scenes. He's just amazing. I got to meet him in person about a year and a half ago. And what's funny is I was there, and his wife, Sammy, Sean looked at her and said, "Hey, look who's here." And she went, "Oh my gosh, Ryan, you're like famous." I was like, "What are you talking about?" It was mind blowing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have you ever been recognized outside, like in public, before?
Uh, Funny enough, once the second year that I was doing this, I was at a convention in LA. I was at Monster Palooza visiting a
Mm,
couple friends, and this is incredible. With my back turned to somebody while wearing a mask because it was deep in the throes of COVID, I was at the Vinegar Syndrome table just looking at some releases because somebody was asking me if they were worth something, and I heard behind me somebody say, "Is that Ryan?" Just by my voice, they recognized me.
that's all. You
Which
have a very distinct voice, though.
thank you,
I've got to say,
thank you.
yeah, very
Well,
radio friendly for sure, or commentary friendly. How about that?
I appreciate that because I don't have the face for it, so that helps.
Wearing the mask and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, another avenue, you do the social media side of things, but you also have
Yeah,
your own magazine, which I really haven't gotten into a lot, but I'm so fascinated with, like, starting a
yeah.
new magazine. I think you're what, issue 13, 14 in now, something like that?
We are working on 22 or
Oh,
23,
Jesus.
actually.
Okay. Monthly. Right? I thought you were only doing it a year now. Yeah.
No, June was 2 years actually that we've been doing it. And there's been a few months that we've had to skip because we missed a deadline that we wanted to do it. But
Mm,
now we've hit the first of every month for like the last 7 or 8 months now, and it's grown rapidly.
that's
It is
awesome.
on sale in like 8 or 9 different physical stores. It's in stores overseas in other countries, which is crazy to me. People can get it worldwide on Amazon, and it's like a real magazine. I have one next to me. This is a glossy cover. I go through everything for physical media. We've got a list of release dates. I have interviews. I've got people writing for it all over the world. We have recaps of Q&As that are happening in LA. I've got somebody every single month running down the first 100 spy numbers for Arrow that came in the US. So
Hmm.
they're reviewing every single title for the first 100. I've got monthly like happy birthday columns where somebody's wishing somebody a happy birthday that's like a classic Hollywood star, appreciating one of the films that they put out, and then wishing for one of their other films to get a release. It's just so much, and we put a ton of work into it, and it's physical and digital. The digital version, if you get that one, all of the pictures and the creators have links embedded, so you can literally be reading an article about a film, and if you click a picture, it'll take you to go buy the film. If you see somebody's writing, you can go click on their name at the beginning, and it will take you to their podcast or their blog where they write, or their Wikipedia where they've listed all the works that you can find them on. It's so much work. Yeah.
So are you the main person that kind of puts that all together, or do you kind of have a little team behind that? Oh my, I don't know how you juggle all this stuff, Ryan. That's astonishing.
I've got one person that helps with the layout, but I do the vast majority of it. I solicit everybody to write for it. I do all of the link embedding myself. I write for it myself every single month. I do all of the like print preparation for it. Literally everything.
That's amazing. And there's something about like physically holding stuff, like physical media. That's why we love it. Holding a magazine, flipping through it. I can't even tell you the last time I've done that personally, just because magazines are kind of gone away. But I reminisce of like going. Yeah, I was a big like video game kid, so going through like the Game Informers, the EGMs, all that type of stuff. I have so many fond memories of that. So doing it for physical media sounds like a no-brainer, but I would have never thought of it until I kind of heard that you were putting it out. So I need to check that out. I need to subscribe or something like that.
Funny enough,
sent to me every month.
Early Game Informers was one of the things that I wanted it to feel like when I started this, because those Game Informers, it was literally informing. That was the whole point of the magazine. It was more like educational and keeping you up to date because we didn't have the internet. And now this is a lot of that, but also like with a lot of opinion-based things and then op-eds that we get people to write. I mean, I've had like Fran, who runs Radiance, when he put out one of his releases, we had him write like a top 5 of Italian comedies. Who else is writing that? Nobody's talking about films like that. And so to have it coincide with his release, it's like a big celebration. I just love it.
No, that's great. One thing that I have to mention before we kind of not talk about it, the Toxic Avenger back there. You've got the bucket. And now you are actually like helping with special features on that physical media release. Is that the first new release movie that you kind of like helped push out?
Like one that's in theaters, yes.
How did that come about? Because that's a whole nother beast to kind of wrap your head around and try to actually produce content for, because you have such like a limited amount of time to get that done. So how'd that process start?
Funny enough, Dennis Bartok, who is the other owner of Deaf Crocodile, used to be associated with Troma back in the day. Dennis used to stand near the Santa Monica Pier and dress up as Sergeant Kabuki Man and advertise for Troma, literally.
Oh my God.
And he just knows everybody associated with it, knew that the film was coming, knew that they were working on it. And he and the producer of the disc were just having a conversation, and Dennis said, I know somebody that can probably do something that will blow you away, but also work very quickly. And he referred me to him, and we had this conversation. And so we pitched like, hey, let's kind of like talk about the style that we want. And they said that they want it like very tongue in cheek, very jokey, but actually like full of facts behind the scenes a little bit. And so they wanted this history of the Toxic Avenger piece where you're running through everything from all the sequels, the animated show, the fact that he was on a Broadway play, and now leading up to this quasi remake. And we were like, yeah, that's great. And so we got hired. We put in basically a little sizzle reel to make sure that they were going to be happy with it. And they said, okay, you absolutely got the job. Let's just get this done. And we started thinking about it. We went, well, we want to do this right. What if we went and got somebody that is a name to sort of be a part of this with us? And damn it, we went out and we got Tiffany Shepis, who has been a part of a lot of Troma stuff over the years. And she just happened to be showing up at a convention that our guys were going to be doing tables at. And we said, let's see if we can just magically get Tiffany Shepis on our side and see if she'll record at the convention. And so we recorded this with her for about an hour and a half. We got a bunch of different takes of her talking about the Toxic Avenger and Troma and some other stuff behind the scenes. And then we recrafted our entire thing to be the same style, but also bring her into it to be like this messenger of the Toxic Avenger being the hero that we need. And so we put together this long visual essay that's called Toxic Shock that you can find on the Cineverse 4K and Blu-ray and DVD release of the brand new Toxic Avenger film. It'll also be on Screambox when that drops on streaming. And it's been incredible. And now I can say that Kevin Bacon and Elijah Wood and Peter Dinklage have all seen some of my work and approved it because they all had to sign off on it.
That's cool, man. I've seen the first Toxic Avenger. I haven't seen the rest of the franchise, but I grew up with the Toxic Crusader toys. Like, I remember that so vividly as a kid watching that animated show. So it's got to be such a cool feeling to be part of a franchise like that, let alone one that just got a pretty major reboot that's been put out in theaters and whatnot, unrated in theaters too, trying to go the Terrifier 3 route.
Yeah, and I mean, even I saw the new movie for the first time about 4.5 months ago when we were given the film to edit with, and I said, you know what, it's been such a big part of our year. I went out to the theater, watched it, took my mom to see it in the theater, had a damn good time, and it feels so different on a big screen. A lot of people don't talk about that, but just the genuine like embrace of the cinema with the completely dark room, the better sound than I can do at my home, and a giant screen in front of your eyes. It's just a completely different film.
Sure. Are there any other franchises that you would love to make physical media special feature?
Oh man, so many. I mean, eventually, like so much has been done for Halloween. I would love to do something for it, but only really because it was the first horror movie I ever really watched. But then after that, the amount of stuff I've discovered, like if I'm ever with any company that can do a big box set of Leprechaun films, God damn it, you're gonna find me on every one of those discs. It was so big for me growing up. The amount of the amount of franchises are just crazy. There's filmmakers I would love to do stuff for. There's people I've genuinely pitched and said, hey, if you have one of your films getting released soon, I already have basically something written. Let's just talk and we can pitch this as part of the release before you go into it. So I really try not to think in terms of franchises, but more in terms of like what is artistically exciting at this point.
No, I think like you're perfect at interviewing type stuff because you've done so many of them on your YouTube channel, your podcast. Do you kind of go through that interview style with people that you do sit down and make special features for? I'm assuming it's very similar. Like this is pretty much doing homework, like doing your reps for that type of process.
Yeah, I mean this is going to sound sappy, but really the main answer to this is I love physical media just like all of us. And I just want to make something that I would want to see on the disc. And so if I'm, sitting down for an interview with somebody that's the quote star of the Nail Gun Massacre, I've seen the movie like 7 times. There's plenty of things that I want to know an answer for. And so it's not even leading. It's not even something I have to really plan for. It's more of like, this movie's crazy. Tell me about it. And then the amount of tangents that we're going to come off of that, it's going to be unending. I mean, for some of these, I've absolutely done like the guy from Nail Gun Massacre. The recorded interview was, I think, 2.5 hours. And then what ended up on the disc was like 21 minutes. So
he was just reminiscing through everything,
Yeah, all of his life, the amount of books he's written since he was in this silly movie, how he's excited about things in 2024 and what that means to him, and how life was different in Texas then, and how people around him responded to the movie. And a lot of that, it sounds exciting when you're talking about it in broad strokes, but when he's talking about it for 17 minutes, it's just not super exciting. So you got to cut a lot of it out. But it's just in that moment, it's exhilarating. And then the hard part is afterwards, just really thinking, sure, that was fun, but what would I actually want to see on the disc? Because that is where the magic happens. You lose so much in the process, but it's not losing it, it's polishing it. It's getting what was actually decent in it to shine.
Right. No, I think it's a very strong comment you just made. Like when you're making special features, you want to make sure that you're crafting something that other people would find interesting to watch, because sometimes there's just a whole bunch of like, there are some special features that just throw interviews on there, don't really put a lot of love and care into it. I'm a huge sucker for a nice polished piece, whether that be a long form documentary or just a great visual essay that has something really exciting to say. So that's kind of where my mindset is on that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even growing to not like a lot of the ones that many of these companies are choosing to put out. They just don't seem either well thought out or even the right choice for the film itself. I mean, there's a couple of companies that are great at it, like Radiance is kind of always amazing at what
Mm.
they do. But there's like I've loved Vinegar Syndrome for many years, been a subscriber for years. I feel like they're putting a lot less attention in the special features nowadays, which is kind of crazy because you're putting out some of the bigger movies that have never had truly great special features, and it
Mhm.
would be a really wonderful time to get the right people on board to do some of these.
I won't say what company it is because I got it sent to me just to kind of review, but all of the special features were via Skype. And I'm
Mm,
like, oh my God, I hate this. And I feel like it wasn't edited as sharply as it really should have been.
yep,
It felt like the movie that got released felt like a love letter to that movie, but there just wasn't a lot of love and care done after the fact, which
yep.
definitely stinks. Yeah, it's always a bummer to go and be excited to check out stuff because you were a fan of whatever movie you watched, just to be like, oh, okay, yeah.
That's one of the big things I'm trying to change with Deaf Crocodiles. They've done a lot of their interviews via Zoom, which sadly for many of these they're international, so it's
Hmm.
kind of the only way to do them, and that makes sense. But when they're not, and we can do them in person, I'm really trying to push for that. It's a very big difference for sure.
I think there's also a way to use Skype a little bit better, like cut with other footage or
Yep,
have their voice over something instead of just looking at the
that's what I do.
480p
Yep,
granular footage. Yeah, there's a better way to do it. Just
yep.
people need to kind of start doing that process, I get. But one of my favorite physical media releases that's come out this year that I saw on your website that you've worked on is Dirty Work. That I love this thing. I don't like this part. Everything else on the disc is phenomenal. What did you do for this, and how did you become a part of it?
I produced one very minor interview that was used on the disc and as part of the larger like documentary piece that they did for this.
Such a good
Um,
documentary.
they just needed somebody to be able to help at the last moment, and a lot of people at Vinegar Syndrome know that I'm reliable and can drop everything and help them with something if need be. And so I did one of the interviews with them, or helped somebody else do one of the interviews. So I'm a very minor contribution, but it's one of the pieces that I'm just immensely proud to have my name even remotely associated, because I've loved Dirty Work forever.
This is an example to where the interviews are not a big deal to me at all because each one kind of has their own reason for being
Yep,
there. But they also, if you don't want to watch all those individual ones, they kind of staple some parts
yep,
and make an entire documentary with those interviews. So to me, this is the best of both worlds to kind of go
yep.
for both of those method styles.
Yeah, and this one, it's a completely different beast than the rest of the stuff that Vinegar Syndrome's been doing, because this is like one of the ones that they've poured their hearts into this year. I mean, this is
Yeah,
a love letter
you
to
can tell.
Norm and to
Hmm.
Bob and to everybody involved. Oscar Bescher at Vinegar Syndrome had been attached to this in so many like meaningful, emotional ways, and just having that come out, there's no comparing it. I think it's leagues above anything else they put out this year.
Yeah, I tend to agree. A lot of their stuff that they put out, not really my cup of tea. Even though it's packaged phenomenally, it's
Yeah.
more or less just not for me personally. Dirty Work. As soon as they announced that, I'm like, and they're getting the 4K treatment, it just seemed different. It seemed like, why would you do this if you weren't a huge fan of it? You know.
Yep.
So yeah, one of my favorite physical media releases. Nothing more else to say about that, but it's got to be cool just to say you were a tiny part of this release.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of like random, fairly large titles that I've had, even the smallest part in, like to be able to do thinner for Scream Factory,
Yeah,
and all I did was edit some of the special features, just incredible. The pack for Scream Factory is another one that I was able to do a lot for. Loved that release, loved that movie, and yeah, I'm just immensely honored to be able to say that I did anything for it.
so how are the processes different between companies that you've kind of worked for? Are some more open ended and some are just like, hey, we have this, can you do this?
Well, a lot of times it depends on the relationship that you have. With the pack and with Thinner, it's because I was friends with Lee Gambin out of Australia, who is a producer was a producer for many of these companies who sadly passed away last year. Lee was a friend that became fast friends when I interviewed him for my show. He used to like immensely support everything that I do. And I just casually mentioned to him, like, hey, I do video stuff all the time. If you ever need like an editor at the drop of a hat, say the word. And that he is the only reason that I'm able to do any of this, because he got me my first like 3 gigs doing any of this. And it was exactly that. I let him know, if you need somebody in an emergency bind, I will drop everything to edit for you. And he saw that I could do it because I did it multiple times, and it saved him. And then right after that, I started making all these contacts with other labels and becoming the Lee myself for these other companies. And so the big thing is just establishing trust. Many of these companies, they're dealing with filmmakers and artists that are sensitive to certain things. I mean, I've had films that we were working on in the last year get completely blocked by a director just because he didn't like one very specific thing. And now all the hard work that we've put into it is all gone. So stuff like that is constantly happening. And so if the company understands that they can trust you, you've established that rapport, that they know that when you say you're going to do the work, you actually do the work. That's a big deal in 2025. A lot of people flake out on everything. And so just being dependable is a huge, huge deal to these companies.
And just kind of putting, like, especially since you're online so often, putting a name and a profile to just a company out there, a base, just to make sure, like, okay, he is reliable doing this on a weekly basis.
Right.
We can kind of give him a shot to kind of do something else on our release. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and sadly, you got to think about this sort of thing. You obviously know I'm not a piece of shit too, because I'm not on social media being racist or anything like that, because that is something to think about these days, is how are these people going to represent you?
Right. It is very, how many projects have you worked on that have had roadblocks kind of put up in their way, or at least like you create one piece of content that kind of transforms into another because it didn't go the way that the company originally wanted it to?
I mean, most of them.
Yeah.
I feel like most releases, they have either a vision or something, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the time it's a good thing. You'll discover a treasure trove. I mean, I've worked my tail off behind the scenes on Big Top Pee-wee this year for Terrorvision. And the amount of times, like, I've interviewed somebody and they've mentioned something, and then we stop recording, and I go, okay, hold on. An hour and a half ago, you mentioned this tiny thing. Could you introduce me to this person? Or do you still have a copy of this random thing that we could scan and put it as part of our release? And it has just blossomed from there. So what was originally a fairly straightforward, but like very loving release of Big Top Pee-wee is going to be just a stupendous release from Terrorvision the day that we announce that here soon.
That's awesome. That's exciting to hear. And you never know what rocks are going to get overturned if you don't try to turn them, you know?
Yeah. And not only that, like, you might not even know about the rock, but not only that, the amount of things that you're going to find under that rock sometimes will be mind blowing. It's crazy what you'll discover.
Yeah. And then you're just skipping that stone to see how far you can get it.
Yep.
No, absolutely, man. That's great. Yeah. I just worked on a project to where did one thing, completed the entire segment of what we were going to do, and then got a roadblock thrown in because the company that thought it was okay for them to use certain things totally said no, and now you got to pay us a lot of money to use these things. I feel like that's kind of like the shady business stuff that kind of gets thrown in a wrench on some of these smaller boutique companies that you're just like, it's so, it to me, it just felt so, it hit me hard, I guess, hit me harder than I wanted it to, because I really liked the piece that I made. And now I know that that's not going to see the light of day. And that's just kind of soul crushing a little bit.
Yeah. The hard part is so many of these people that love these things don't even think about the licensing aspect of that. There is a wide spectrum of what some of these boutique labels are willing to put on their releases. So some of these, if you're doing visual essays on one disc for one company and you're working on another disc at the same time, you'll have such different stringent requirements. There's some companies, they won't let you even use posters from other releases in the images. You're not allowed to use images from other films. I've had one company say you can use You can use trailers that are publicly available before the year like 1977, but that's it, nothing else. But you can use any trailer that you find before that time. There's other companies that they're just in a country where the licensing just plain doesn't matter, and so they're like, yeah, let's just put whatever in there. Like, obviously, don't like play a 3-minute clip of Psycho or anything like that. But if you're doing like a 12-second thing, or you're just using a moving image while you talk about something else, yeah, it's fair use. Which theoretically, legally, it should all be fair use.
I 1,000% agree. Yes. I'm big on using GIFs, like just in my everyday life. So, and I've used them for some content that I put out into the social media stuff that I utilize. Haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. I put a couple GIFs in one of the things and like, yeah, you got to take that out. I'm like, why? Like, legal said that they won't allow that. That there's too many ramifications if you put in that loop. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. I guess I'll draft this again for the 12th time or whatever, just to make sure that it's 1,000% right.
It's so much to consider and keep track of, for sure, especially when you're working with many of these companies at once.
Yeah. No, I've only worked with one, so I cannot imagine just trying to see, okay, what's okay here and what's okay there, and why isn't this okay with that one? And no, that would get so confusing, man.
I literally have a spreadsheet with the requirements for different companies, just so I don't lose track of it.
Keep notes. Keep notes is like the most important thing, because you don't want to re-ask questions either. You just want to keep some level of professionalism for sure.
Yep, it's a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all the notes that I had for this. I appreciate you coming on here, Ryan. Is there anything that you want to say that hasn't been said, or anything you want to plug that hasn't been plugged yet?
I guess the only other thing theoretically is I also run a podcast network. I've got like 25 shows that have partnered with Someone's Favorite Productions that you can find on our website at someone'sfavoriteproductions.com. At the moment, the vast majority of them focus on film in some way. We host many of the like official podcasts for many of these boutique labels, including the Mono Macabro podcast, the Radiance podcast, the Deaf Crocodile podcast, the TerrorVision podcast, and others. We have shows dedicated to like discussing audio commentaries from these discs, multiple shows discussing audio commentaries. A lot of these people are some of my favorite creators, and if you just go try any of them, you will probably find something that you can fall in love with across the spectrum, because we range from like mini major studios to discussing every single Criterion announcement depending on the show. It's wild, the amount of different type of taste that we cover.
But the main follow through is just love of movies, which is the main thing that matters, the main thing that I feel like is becoming harder and harder to find out there. So any type of avenue that I can kind of go and sink into my veins, I will absolutely do so. So yeah, no, it's been a pleasure having you on here, Ryan. Very much appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been episode number 45 of Boutique Talk. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you.